Good afternoon, everyone. I can't even remember. Like, do we meet last week? Skip's coming on, but he seems to not know how to run his video camera, so he's just a blank screen down there. Anyways, this week we kind of foregoing our usual event to talk about our big release we had on Monday and kind of give some advice to our current users. I highly recommend all of you check this thing out. What we've done is we've made compliance a lot easier. So for some of you who know me or our history, like I used to do a lot of security work. I was a CISO slash I was a CISSP engineer for 17 years. So not just somebody who says they did security or did it as a hobby. I actually did critical infrastructure. So I also understand that when it comes to compliance, it's not something you do as an add-on. A lot of companies out there say, "Oh yeah, we'll do SOC 2 for you. Oh yeah, we'll do we'll do CIS for you or whatever you want. Just tell us what you want," and they'll kind of half do it. In my advice to the group out there is don't half do compliance. Do compliance with a company who is significantly vested in success of compliance because it's not as easy as just checking a bunch of boxes. Even if you just want to check a bunch of boxes, it's still not that easy. So for this particular weekly community update, we're going to talk about just like how to pick a good vendor and then also why we picked Compliance Scorecard to integrate with versus building something internally. And then probably early August or so, we're going to do a longer webinar on how to manage compliance, how to build this, and how it fits into your stack. And for a lot of you who are wondering, what do I do once hardware is no longer an option to resell? Well, this is it, guys. This is a service that's going to be forced upon all small businesses within the next 5 years. So they need to look to somebody for the authority. And either you're going to see a third party come in and do it for you, or you can establish yourself as the authority in compliance today. Oh, here's Skip.
All right.
All right. Now he's got an echo though.
Yeah.
He's got a huge, huge echo.
All right.
Skipping his fancy setups here.
Yeah, it's just not.
You might have to just like push the button to talk. So, what we have here is this concept that you go and you expect a software vendor to do everything for you. You walk in and say, "Oh, they need to do compliance for me. They need to do PSA for me. They need to be Kaseya essentially." Or do you look at our webinar we had about a month and a half ago with Halo and Ninja and say, "I want the best in class that plays well with others." These are your independent vendors largely. So Humanize IT, we are best in class when it comes to account management. Everybody else is kind of doing, "Oh yeah, we also do QBRs. We also do client management." But our big thing is assets. Our big thing is licensing. And so there's a lot of confusion out there. And now we say, "Well, do you do SOC 2 compliance?" Well, no, it's not what we do. If you want to do SOC 2 compliance, go get Compliance Scorecard. Get somebody who actually does this for a living because it's a pain. It's a pain. And working with a company who kind of, for lack of a better way of saying it, half-asses it is going to reflect on you. Skip?
Well, I want to comment on something you said earlier. Hopefully my audio is a little better now. And you can get involved with this, or your client can go out and get someone else. Right? There are elements that they may need in their environment, and whether that's compliance or some sort of security element or anything else, if you're not going to do it and their business needs it, either you're going to lose that customer or they're going to go get someone else to do that part. And rather than losing a customer, I would say get involved in the process. We've been doing this for many, many years. Get involved with your client's internet service provider. Back in the day, it was a lot more complicated because we had to do leased circuits, right? And no one understood frame relay. So you had to get involved. You had to help your clients out. I remember one time AT&T issued a renewal notice to their client and said, "Hey, here, renew all of this. You're good to go for another 3 years." And because I was involved, I looked at that and went, "Wait, That is way too much and way too slow. And we went back to AT&T and just simply said, redo this, give us the current offerings at the current prices. They did. We bumped up speeds by about 4 times and cut the price in half. All right. Now, I didn't get in there and have to do anything, but just because I was involved in the process, I could provide a benefit for my client, and it helped me out. All right. I'm the one kind of at least pushing things. I can't do so much with AT&T, but I can steer in specific areas. And so that helped how I delivered service for that organization as well. Compliance is a perfect example for today's world. Right? You can do whatever process your client finds, or you can help your client find a process that works for both of you. And this is going to make you the consultant, the trusted advisor role. So yes, because compliance has such a independent third party element, I think so many people are going, oh, well, I can't do that. I'm not going to get involved. That's not the right approach to take. There isn't a level of involvement for you.
Yeah, the idea is that you want to commit. You want to be professional when you bring this in front of your client. So let's say you know nothing about how to do compliance as a service. Like you've never sat in a seat in that room, drinking your 15th cup of coffee, just trying to get one more policy done. And you've never sat down and had to collect evidence for something that just seems inane. I need a screenshot of your firewall rules to show there's no shadows rules, that you've actually looked at it. And you're on your 30th or 50th for one day. You've never been down that road, or maybe you've just done a minimal part of it. Like somebody asked you, I need a screenshot of this for my compliance. What you want to do is you want to work with somebody who's been through that role, or find somebody who actually enjoys this work. That's the even better part. So it's like the difference between an MSP and that girl or guy does this on moonlighting as a hobby and is making recommendations in their spare time. There's a massive difference between the two, but both of you are just computer support people, right? That's all you are. You're computer support. And so there's no difference to the end user. No, you and I know there's a massive difference between a professional MSP and, say, a trunk slimer. Not that the trunk slimers aren't doing a good job. They just don't understand the full scope.
Right. Oh, there's so many more elements in that. It's the professionalism, it's the consistency, it's any sort of scalability. So, those are all elements that you can provide, and you definitely want to be involved with that in your clients.
Yeah. So when you build a compliance platform, the reason we were looking around for a while was because we wanted to find a good partner that has similar culture to us. Oh, you're still echoing there, Skip. And we had talked to Tim, and you guys know Tim. We talked to him at conferences. We sit back and just have some relaxing time or hang out with him and Maureen at a different event, and we talk a lot. And it's like, man, he gets it. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm coming with a new product, Compliance Scorecard. And I'm like, well, that's fantastic. I'll see where it goes. And then he shows me it, and I'm like, yes. So we have our NIST report. For those of you who've been with us for a while, we have our NIST report that we have been publishing for a while, but it was a yes and kind of thing. Like we needed some way to show risk, because risk is important, and NIST was the most widely accepted one at the time. And we built a NIST assessment. But I said, my dream someday is to get a full suite compliance partner that we can just offload this to, because we want to focus on the client conversation. And so during your QBR, you should be saying, oh, here's the projects we're working on for you. Here's your budget for the next quarter or year. Let's review some of the open issues that are major to the company. Oh, and by the way, here's how you're scoring on your SOC 2 audit. Now, we have a complete SOC assessment, and we are working through that on the side. I, as account manager, may know nothing about SOC 2 assessment, but Compliance Scorecard and my engineers do. But at least the client can see right now, like, hey, we've made progress. We were about 80% done with our SOC compliance, and here's where we go. So rather than us half-assing a solution for SOC compliance or CIS or pick your suite, right? We spend our time building a really amazing integration that shows your clients that you've got this covered and that it's being taken care of. You just gotta sit back and give them the big picture. So let me show you what that looks like right now. So this is the first time we've shown the production side.
Well, as Adam's jumping in on that, let me comment on the usability of this. So, Tim's going to give me a hard time next conference when he sees me, but he gave me access to that. I got in there, and I called it in one of our sessions. I called it the yeesh factor. Right? I get in there and I start looking at all of these things that are required for compliance, and the engineer in me just says yeesh, and I'm ready to jump out the window. Right? But Tim has done a great job of taking this and putting it in a process that even an engineer can do it, right? We can walk through this and get this done. And so I think that is going to be a really valuable asset. That way you can distribute this throughout your team, and you're not dependent on that one person who can do compliance. We can actually delegate. This is a key element in making it scalable across your organization.
And that's kind of the key, right? You don't have time to do this one more thing. You don't have time to go in and do compliance. If you think you do, okay, what are you doing every day? Because, I was at a medium-sized company and they had a full-size compliance department, and they had just two compliance families. They had they had CIS, and they had PCI. And I did a lot of the lifting for PCI. And they had a full-time department for this. That's how much work compliance is. We're not talking about security here. We're just talking about compliance. And so when you say, oh, I'll just do SOC 2 for my clients, there's a lot of money to be made there. Yes, there is a lot of money to be made there. Do you have time to do this? It's like saying, hey, we're now going to build our own email security system from scratch on Linux and maintain it for all of our clients. Great idea, but there's a reason why you're using Proofpoint. You learned that lesson early, that the home-baked solutions take you more time. When somebody else out there has built something for you that you can use, that's what you want to look at. Sorry. Are you muted, Skip?
Yes, I was agreeing. I have nothing else to add to that. You're spot on.
Okay, I thought you were talking there. I was like,
we used to get that with Call Manager early in the day. Cisco Call Manager was a great solution. It did really powerful things, and along the way, somebody came out with asterisks. Like, oh, we can do all of this with asterisks. And I had a couple of my engineers.
Don't knock asterisks.
I know, and I agreed. And they came and said, hey, we can build these solutions in-house and sell them for probably nearly as much as we're selling Call Manager, but we don't have to buy Call Manager to resell it. And I looked at that and went, oh, that's really cool. But the maintenance, the troubleshooting, the ongoing, I was like, no, I want to build a scalable solution. I can buy Call Manager all day long and resell that and make money. With asterisks, I may end up in a rabbit hole where I am desperately trying to get something to work and spending a ton of resources to get it going. And that's just not a place that we wanted to be as a company. So this is a really scalable element of your business that can make you more money without dragging your team into the weeds and spending a ton of time working on this.
And this is also going to replace some revenue because, as we know, in every technology industry, you go back to automotive industry, you go back to textiles, car manufacturing. We know that as technology matures, the physical assets get cheaper and there's less money to be made there, and less jobs. We shift, the whole culture shifts. If you don't know your history, please go back and read some histories on Henry Ford. Read back on the supply chains that came up through the 1980s, and really read up on, remember when you used to build PCs? Then you could buy them direct. You could order one and it would come to you in the mail with your specifications, Gateway and Dell. These things kept shifting. And so what the IT person could do to generate revenue had to shift with it. You get very intelligent people. You don't need to build a PC anymore. There's still good reasons to do that, but I can get it for cheaper and a better build from this manufacturer than I can do it myself. So what we want to do here is the same thing with compliance. Right now, compliance is the shift. Compliance and pen testing. And so that's the shift. People are going to be streamlining PCs. You're going to see a lot of your customers buy their own PCs. Those heydays are gone, people. What we want to do is replace it with things that are meaningful for the client, and that is compliance. So this is what a QBR used to look like just a week ago, right? We built this nice level 10 QBR where you talked through everything you're doing, your overdue tickets, any assets that were going to be replaced, your open projects, your budget review, and you came down and scheduled the next meeting. Now, what we do today, and I just developed this right before the meeting, and to Skip's point, I thought, I'll just Christmas tree a SOC audit and have some data to throw up. Now, I started that hour and 20 minutes ago. This is just me guessing and creating a Christmas tree of answers. And it still didn't get done in time. So I have one gap on my tool. But this is also why you make a lot of money doing this, because your client doesn't want to do this. So anyways, without giving it any thought, what I did was I switched the QBR around. Now, while you're talking to your client, you're talking to them about the project roadmap, things you got done last quarter. Maybe some of these are SOC related or not. This particular client is going through a SOC 2 audit. You are going to handle that audit for them, have the policies and the wizard generated in Compliance Scorecard, our new partner, and then you're going to able to walk them through and charge them for this because they have to have it done, and not a single person inside there knows how to do a SOC audit. So you're going to walk down here and you're going to see how complete are they. I just started this. I just Christmas treed, guys. Nothing fancy here. I don't even have the assessment scores down yet. I just have by the way, we just kicked this off. Now, next quarter, we'll meet and we'll see how far we've gone on this. We'll see some progress here as Compliance Scorecard moves through what they're doing. We don't do it in our software. You're doing this in Compliance Scorecard, or your compliance team is doing it in Compliance Scorecard. They're making you money hand over fist because they're doing the policies, they're getting things done. Like, for instance, you're looking at $5,000 to do an internal SOC audit. That's not even counting the CPA firm that has to certify this at the end, which is another $5,000 to $10,000. But you get that $5,000 chunk because you're doing the compliance internally. Why $5,000? I dare you to find something cheaper. I dare you to find something cheaper. And so,
well, on this, this is a very high level approach, and that's exactly right. I can guarantee you your client does not want to see the nitty-gritty details of the compliance work that you're going through. There is someone in their organization who is responsible for that, who you will have to review that information on. There are going to be a few of these control statements that we're going to have to get an executive team member involved on. But if you open up slide the curtain back and say, these are all of the control statements that we're diving into right now, your clients are just going to glaze over. All right. So this is meant to be very conversational, very management focused, so that you can move ahead with everything that you need to do. If you're trying to walk through statement by statement by statement with your clients in a QBR, it's one, very unproductive, but two, it's very operational. And that's where your clients are going to seeing you as the operational person rather than the one that's really driving towards their business goals.
Yeah. And that way, when you're showing them all this, right, you're walking into your client saying, oh, you need to do SOC 2 compliance. You might even leave one of these blank, right? And say, hey, do you need to do SOC 2? Like, no, we need to do SIP. Oh, cool. I got that too. Let me flip it over. And you can replace this with a SIP compliance one. And so you can leave this blank and say, compliance initiatives, or you can say whatever you want. And you can look and see what it is. Like, why am I 0% on compliance? Well, because you haven't selected a control family and we got a lot of work to do there. It's also this additional thing we sell, but you don't do compliance. So, and then they'll be, well, actually, we need to do PCI compliance, or actually, we need to do SOC 2. We're being required to by our regulatory body. And you're like, oh, cool, I can help you with that. That just sold itself right there. What do you mean you can help us with that? Yeah, for $5,000, we'll take care of your policies for this year. And then next year, we'll bill you for $5,000. And actually, we work with Prescient or whoever it is for your CPA firm, and they do it for X dollars, and they'll certify you. All you have to do is when we ask for evidence or when we ask for more controls, that you are approving the documents we send you. And what's cool about this is every year it gets easier. There's going to be a few more controls are going to be added, and you're going to create a couple more policies for that. You're going to educate their users and like, oh, wait, you don't do a tabletop exercise. Wait, you don't do cybersecurity awareness training. Guess what? We do it. And you can put it on your roadmap down here. And like, hey, let's get that cybersecurity awareness done. We'll come in and do a lunch.
The cool part about it being about it getting easier is, yes, it does get easier, but it always changes at least a little bit. All right. So there's a little bit of, to oversimplify this, there's a little bit of job security in here in that, yes, we've got most of the audit done, but this year they've added a control statement where we have to evaluate this, and you walk your clients through that. So there's always a opportunity for you to be valuable, for you to help with the process, because the process is always going to be changing. It's always going to be updated. So it's a very good, long-lasting, and your clients don't want to go to someone else because they're like, oh, I don't know, Adam's already got all this set up for me. We've already been doing this for a couple of years. I don't want to shift someone else, even though it may be $300 cheaper. That's it's going to take me too much time to retrain someone else, to talk to someone else about how we do business. So it's a very sticky sort of engagement that you can do with your clients.
Yeah. And you got to remember, when you're doing this, again, it's generating a lot of revenue. And if you have like a full-time, you might say, oh my gosh, I've got 20 people that want this. That's a full-time employee right there. And even better, a lot of you can hear your objections. A lot of you have started watching this, not live, but as later on in the day, or maybe it's over your dinner or something. Comment below about what you think is the likelihood that you're going to be asked to do compliance for your client, or are you doing compliance right now for your clients? Because if you say, oh, well, my clients are too small, guess what? That wind is changing, people. So we call them the bright lines, right? What is the level at which you need a SOC 2 compliance? Well, if you're a bank, it's obvious. But if you're like a flower shop, when do you need to be compliant? If you're a automotive shop, when do you need to be compliant? That line is changing. It's moving on to the small businesses and medium business where they're going to be required to be compliant by their partners. So business to business customers, look at your business to business customers, the ones that are going to be doing business with banks, the ones that are going to be doing business with schools, the ones that are going to be doing business with larger entities. They're going to be required to at least be SOC 1. SOC 2 type 1. Now, SOC 2 type 2, a whole nother bag. Now we have to prove what we're doing. But at the very least, these small companies are going to spend 10 grand. They're going to be required to, in order to keep their clients, to spend 10 grand a year on compliance through some tool set. But then they're going to have an employee be in charge of that tool set. That's another 3 grand. So around 13 to 15 grand, they're going to spend on SOC compliance. They're going to hate every second of it. You're going to come in there like a hero going, guess what? We'll do it for a flat rate of this as one of our customers. We'll help you get the audit done. We'll get everything centered for you, and it requires no extra work from your employees other than helping us do evidence gathering. That's it. And when I say, oh, you need cybersecurity awareness training, you can go ahead and put that as part of your package.
And you guys have already seen this. There are many times, small businesses that are doing work with other businesses that are offering or fulfilling contracts for the Department of Defense or some sort of government agency. And you've seen these small businesses pop up and go, oh, great, now I have to do, a CMC audit, or I have to do this. because I want to keep this customer. I want to keep, contributing to this contract. And they go through, they spend this money. You might not think that they would need to do that, but because of their federal customer line, somewhere down the tree there, they have a requirement. That same type of compliance requirements is shifting. A lot of it's been started by the insurance companies, but it's spreading into other industries, and that is going to be affecting more and more small businesses that typically wouldn't be required to do compliance. And if you can get ahead of that, if you can get on board with that, then you'll be able to offer it up front without your clients going, oh, can you do this? And now you're scrambling, or they're going somewhere else to get this service.
Yeah, you've already heard how this is going to be affecting us. Now, you can say it's sensationalism or whatever you want, but things like TikTok being banned, that should be a warning across your bow. It may never happen, but that's how serious our country, or at least the United States, and I want to say like the United Kingdom and Australia, are being about compliance. Like, we are tired of being hacked, people. We are tired of losing GDP over stupid things. Compliance will help you stop being stupid. It'll help you be less stupid. It's not a fix-all. You still need to have security. You still need to do a lot of the best things, but you got to have due diligence at the very least. And you as IT people know that your customers do a lot of dumb things, and you tell them, please stop doing this, and they'll keep doing it. When compliance hits the table, when they're required to do a SOC, when they're required for CIS or any like NIST or anything, they now have to prove that they're doing these things. And when your biggest client says, if you don't become SOC 2 compliant, we're going to your competitor, whether you're the best in class or not, because we can't take that risk on. And so that is what's coming down the bow. When you're seeing politics start picking up on us, we're seeing social media talk about TikTok bans or different application bans or antivirus bans. Look at all these things that are making headlines now in tech news. That is the pressure that is on everybody to be compliant. And that's why we, for many other reasons, chose to partner with Compliance Scorecard. And I really want everybody to be watching for the webinar and some of the announcements coming out of our two companies. And we're going to have some really great educational material here. But for our current customers, you can access this right now. All you have to do is go to your delivery tab and hit your integrations. And there it is. It's there right now. We had one little bug this morning. I fixed it, got it fixed, and it's ready to go. You can import your clients from you can grab your Compliance Scorecard people. You can tie them to your internal customers, and you can do all sorts of fun things like put these widgets up. You can put down your asset scorecards. How are you doing across these? And report on them. And so your account managers are now going to be able to show more value to your customers, which is going to make them more sticky and more appreciative of what you're doing. Because no one's going to switch MSPs in the middle of a SOC compliance. That would just be dumb. All right, Skip, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's spot on. I think this is a very sticky product. So I'm excited to see how this is going to work with many of our members, and looking forward to helping you guys get this going.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for this. I think it's going to make a lot of your lives easier. It's going to generate a ton of revenue for you. If you have any questions about this, you're watching this after hours. If you're in Australia, you're in the United Kingdom, United States, it doesn't matter. Come talk to us, email us. How do I use this? How do I get into this? This is a lot of compliance families. This is a lot of frameworks that are now available to you if you are a Compliance Scorecard customer. Now you can talk to your customers about them easily. Your account managers do not need to know what SOC 2 compliance is, but they can at least say, hey, here's what the percentage you're done. Here's oh, hey, let's just get rid of the non-completed stuff just so I look better, right? Oh, crap. I'm still 0%. So the idea here is that you can show your client what's going on without being the expert in compliance. They say, hey, I have questions about how we're doing with compliance. Well, let's go over to Compliance Scorecard. Let's bring the expert in the room and let's talk to them. Your account manager doesn't have to be an expert. They just report on this on top of the other 10,000 things you're doing for your client. All right. Well, this is great, guys. Again, email us at humanizeit.biz. You can see us at our website and our coaching at humanizeit.biz, Skip at humanizeit.biz, Adam at humanize, whatever you want. Just get a hold of us, ask us questions, hit us up on chat. If those of you on our Slack channel, our Discord, hit us there and we'll answer your questions as much as we can. Thank you.